You know what I mean? Because I think so a lot of times. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Hold on. Because I think so a lot of times when it comes to this process, when it comes to whatever process, whatever journey, whatever the fuck that we're fucking that we're partaking. Everything's the mind, by the way. Nobody doesn't know what you're going through or what you're trying to do or whatever the case may be but you. That's the way it is. Your vision, your goal, whatever the fuck, however you look out the world, and all the gist of it, that's all you. That is all you. It's you the one that label things as good and bad. It's you the one that, that pretty much labels everything and puts your attention on everything. If you don't put your attention on anything, nothing doesn't fucking exist. The YouTube videos doesn't fucking exist. The people that hurt you doesn't fucking exist. The schools, the job, the fucking everything. If you don't put your attention on it, it doesn't fucking exist. And a lot of times we try to we get stuck on that because it's like, but yeah, because it's like, okay, so like I see these people and everything else and blah blah blah, but that's only the reason why because you put attention on that thing on a constant basis. You gotta understand that, like the patterns and that doesn't mean that it's good or bad, but it's just that the patterns, the fucking things, the things, all that shit is just because you put attention on it. You have a pattern of putting attention on it. The pattern is not anything outside of you, it's you. It's you. Wherever you keep on repeating, whatever thing that is repetitive in your fucking life and everything else is because of you. It's because of you. And that gives you the ultimate power. Because if you're in this phase where, we're talking about God and all that jazz and everything else, it has to come to a point where you have to come to the conversation of accountability. Accountability. Because we can't talk about God and we can't talk about the higher self. We can't talk about being our true selves and everything else if there's no fucking accountability. And here's another thing. And especially when it comes to, and this comes to everything in the world, because you have to understand that the world is feminine. And I don't mean that as like a boy girl type of thing. It's feminine. That means that like it's ever changing. It's always fucking changing. There's nothing in this fucking world that is not changing. When it comes to the plants that you see, when it comes to the trees, when it comes to the sun, when it comes to the moon, when it comes to all that jazz. Every single day, every single moment, every single thing is always motherfucking changing. Everything. And that's including yourself. That's including yourself. The world is feminine. Is always moving, is always changing. Everything that you see in this world is temporary. The only thing that is not temporary in this world is you and your consciousness. And let me tell you this, I'm talking to myself here. So I don't this is not no selfish thing or anything like that, but it's just the point that is like, let me tell you something. Just because I'm talking to you like this doesn't make me no better. I'm talking to myself here. So a lot of things I'm saying, and all that jazz, I have to remind myself. I have to remind myself to stay grounded. I have to remind myself to be more present and so on and so forth. We all have to remind ourselves to be present and so on and so forth, because there's always going to be things that's always going to try to pull your attention in. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the money, it can be the attraction, it can be, and this goes both ways. This goes for male and female. It can be the money, it can be the attraction, it can be fucking the past nor future. It can be the fucking everything that's going on around you. And you feel like that you need to take control, and you feel like that you need to control it in order for you to prosper, in order for you to move on. Let me tell you something. And this is something I'm still learning. You can't control not jack shit in this motherfucker. And I mean that. God is the only thing that's in control over here. Bottom line. That unseen force and everything else, that's the only thing that's in control here. We, like, when it comes to the attraction that we get, when it comes to the losses that we get, when it comes to the fucking disrespect, when it comes to the fucking the highs of life, when it comes to the wealth that we obtain, when it comes to everything, the conflict, everything under the fucking sun. That's all God. We can't. We don't have. We don't have the fucking the willpower in order for. Let me tell you something. We don't have the hands to box with God. And I think Adam and Eve kind of had to learn this lesson the hard way when it comes to thinking that we can control life, thinking that if we fucking. Yeah, I'm not saying that none of this is bad. Everything's neutral. But if we fucking attain the knowledge, when we fucking obtain everything, when we fucking memorize the words of the gospel and all that jazz, we think that everything's just gonna be perfect, and we won't have to deal with problems. We won't have to deal with conflict. We won't have to deal with the everyday of life. We won't have to deal with God ever again. But that's not true. Everything's spiritual. Everything, like everything that we deal with and everything else, let me tell you something. Everything that we deal with and all that jazz and everything else is God. The wealth, the everything. I was thinking to myself, right? I was thinking to myself. I was like, because if this world is feminine and everything else, 9 times out of 10, and maybe I'm thinking of women and everything else when I say these things. And this is not nothing to bash women or anything like that. This is nothing to bash the feminine or whatever the case may be. This is just our primal urge. And this is everybody's primal urge, because we all got both the masculine and feminine within us. Let me tell you this. When when you don't try, when you just know that, like, listen, this is what I want to do with myself, and that's it. Nothing else fucking matters. Since the world's feminine, it's going to bow down to you, just based off the simple fact. Excuse me. Just based off the simple fact that you're not trying hard. It's like the moment that you try hard, the moment that you try to like fix everything, the moment that you want to fucking gain control, the feminine world pushes back. They give you all this type of bullshit and da. All because that you're trying to be a good person. You're trying to be good to the world. You're trying to make everything right by doing this, by doing that, by listening, by fucking over explaining, by fucking, actually not being like, And this is why they tell you, and it's not evil or anything like that, but that's why they tell you to be delusional. Or as you know, the late great Neville Goddard once said, to live in the end. You know, a lot of times when you're living in the end, you know, like once you know that, like, listen, listen, I have everything I want. I have everything I want. And you stick with that feeling. There's nothing in this world that I don't fucking have. I have all the wealth in the fucking world. I have all the attraction that I can ever fucking get. I have all the attraction I don't even know what the fuck to do with. I have all the money. I have all the money in the world. I don't even know what the fuck to do with. I have all the job opportunities. I don't even know what the fuck to do with. I go to all these fucking trips. I go to all these fucking places. I go to all these countries. I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna go next. Like, if you fucking live in that end, if you live in that end, that everything that you already want to do is already fucking done, that's it. That's it. Because we're trying to just chase feelings anyway. That's all we're doing every time we're doing something. When we do our jobs, while we fuck. While we fucking chase money, while we talk to all these people that we don't really give a fuck about. While, while we do this, while we do that. It's the reason why is because we're trying to chase a feeling. There's a feeling that we're trying to chase. Regardless if it's about us, regardless if it's about the fucking world, whatever the case may be, we're trying to chase a feeling. So, if you know what you want, and you already feel that, you're already living in the end, you're already living as though you already have it. You're already living, like you already feel it, like you're already living as though that you already obtained the goals that you already fucking obtained. Because at the end of the day, it's everything's spiritual. Everything's inside out. Everything's inside out. Wherever you see out there, wherever you see in your fucking street, wherever you see this person doing that, it doesn't fucking matter because it's all illusion. It's all that's it. Once you get back to that quiet place, once you get back to silence, that's it. We can fucking remember it. We can fucking tell stories about it. We can do all that fucking jazz. We can do everything under the fucking sun to validate the experience that we have. But either way it goes, it's just a fucking experience. There's no need to label anything. There's no need to call this person this or call this person that. Make this person good or bad. Make this person the hero or villain. There's no need to make yourself the hero or villain. It's just for the simple fact, at the end of the day, everything's what it is. And everything's there. Everything's happening for a very, 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 very specific reason that 9 times out of 10, 99.999999999% out of 10, we don't fucking know why everything's happening the way it's happening. We don't know why our lives happen the way it's happening. Hell, it's not even about how our lives is happening. It's just about how we feel about our lives happening. Because that's the only thing that exists. Everything else is neutral. Whatever they do, whatever they say, and that is neutral. The only thing they say is words. The only thing they do is actions that doesn't have no fucking meaning. You say words. You say actions that 9 times out of 10 to the others, to the people outside, Since they have their own world, they have their own dream, they have their own movie, they have their own whatever the fuck, right? Wherever you're dealing with, 9 times out of 10 it doesn't, it's not registered to them. Yes, you might give them a little trailer and everything else, what the fuck you're dealing with, but at the end of the day, they will never know the full extent of your movie. So 9 times out of 10, and yes, I'm talking to myself here. 9 times out of 10, what is there to fucking fuss about? What is there to disagree about? What is there to fucking, what is there to fucking argue about? What is there to fight about? When we know damn well that everybody else has their own perception, their own perspective, and everything else, good or bad, in between. And we will never know. We will never know. We will never know the full extent of what another person's going through. We might know snippets. We might try to help and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, we will never know what another person's going through. And nobody will never know the full extent of our story, what we're going through, and so on and so forth. Yeah, they might have trailers. They might know this, that, this, that, this, that. But ultimately, to the fullest extent, you're the main character in your own movie. You're the main character in your own movie. From where you're standing right now, you're infinite. You're infinite. There's not a single thing in this world that you can't fucking do. You can do anything in this world. The only thing that's stopping you is your mind. That's the only thing that's stopping you. The fucking stories that you tell yourself, what this person's doing, what that person's doing. What would they think of blah, 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 blah. If you was the only fucking person in this movie, if you was the only fucking person in this video game, would you thought the same way? No. If you are the only thought and feeling that is existing in this fucking world, that may sound like off and all that jazz and everything else, but you listen, like the paradoxes of this thing is real. There's so many paradoxes, there's so many perspectives onto everything. So with that being said, right? And that's why I have to come back to the whole, like, not even trying, because let me say this. We're always trying to be something else. We're always trying to be something else. If it's for the attraction of the opposite sex, for the opportunities, for commission, for money, for fucking public relations, whatever the fuck. We're always trying to be somebody else that we're not. And it's the overexposure of a lot of fucking things that makes us want to be something else. Because since that's working, since that's getting all the women, since that's getting all the money, since that's personalities getting all the respect and everything else, I want those things. I want the attraction. I want the money. I want the fucking respect. I'm going to be like that. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, especially when that's your main purpose, to be yourself. That's the main purpose, to be something. Is for the money, is for the fucking, like, is for like the attraction, is for this, is for that. That's a short road. That's a short road, because it's like all those things is constantly changing. And the 20-minute mark, we take a deep breath. So just give me like 5 deep breaths for like a second. You know, a beautiful woman once told me, a very beautiful woman once told me to give time. Um, and a lot of times what that means is that because time is just a thing in and of itself, you know, a lot of times we just get, it can be times when we can get anxious or we can feel some type of way just based off what time can give us. And we don't, there's no like, there's no knowing as to time's gonna give us this or time's gonna give us that or whatever the case may be. Time is just time. And even that in and of itself is an illusion. The only thing that we have is right now. Hold on one second, guys. You know, as opposed to anything, the only thing that we have in this present moment is right now. And you know, like you hear that shit from like the voices of voices, and you're hearing it for myself included. And it's like the only thing that we have is right now. And you can't worry about how this is gonna happen or that's gonna happen and everything else. And a lot of times we feel those things. You know, it's just based off everybody else's perspective. Everybody else's perspective. You know, like we want to be somewhere. We want to be wealthy. We want to be rich, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people can look at us a certain way. But a lot of times we don't know if it's gonna be like that. Realistically, we don't know where we're gonna be, and that's okay. And I think that's something that you need to embrace because the world, the reality bows down to you when you don't, when you embrace the uncertainty, when you embrace all possibilities of life, and that's hard. That's hard. You know, like it's hard to fucking look at your life now and just imagine all the possibilities that can happen, both good and bad. No, but it's in that silence and everything else where you do find that. You do find yourself being in the greatest place because you're living in the end. You're living in the end. So regardless of that may be, like I told you, from where you're standing now, you're infinite. You're infinite. It's only the stories that we tell ourselves, it's only the mind and all that jazz and everything else that makes us feel limited. But you know, like you're the most unlimited thing in this motherfucker, and that's just the way it is. I don't think, you know, nobody in this fucking world can take away your abundance. Only It's only when you allow it. With that being said, and yes, you know, I'm talking to myself here, we have to know what we truly want. We have to know what type of reality, what we want to create, not only for ourselves but for the people around us. You know, it's only God. You know, it's only God here. And it's like, at the end of the day, the only thing that exists is love. You know, it doesn't matter the paradoxes, it doesn't matter. All that shit is just the mind. You know, what we try to learn and all that shit is the mind anyway. All that's just the mind. We're not the mind, but just knowing some of these great things, you know, we get to move forward. You know, we get to move forward. Peace, guys. I love you.